Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and welcome to my analysis of the RWBY Volume 4 opening. So before we begin, I just want to point you guys to my review of the first episode for those that haven't seen it already. Plus, I want to suggest that you do watch the episode, as I will be referring to it for some information. In other words, do not watch this video if you haven't seen episode 1 of Volume 4 yet. There will be spoilers in this video. But with that said, let's get rolling. So not only do we have a brand new opening to watch, but we also can listen to the new theme from the awesome pair of Jeff and Casey Williams, titled Let's Just Live. It's a very pleasing theme, far more positive than When It Falls, the theme for Volume 3, and it also reflects the tone of the past leading up to this opening. Our heroes are rocked by the fall of Beacon, as well as the loss of some dear friends and the rough cruelty that the world can give them, shaking their positive drive for a happy life. A life that, as the song says, used to feel like a fairy tale. Except, life doesn't go by smoothly. They will be tested. They will have their passion and their goals disrupted by life's slings and arrows, and sometimes they won't end up on top. But the question of course is, do they give up? Can they push on and learn from the past, taking each day as it comes so they can make it where they can still find happiness, and by the time that the wounds have healed, they will become stronger so they don't have to live in the past. They're still growing day by day as people and as fighters, and that's what we get out of this song. It's hopeful, and a welcome tone to cover the volume, as we will see Team Ranger and the broken pieces of Team RWBY recover in their own ways, remembering those they've lost, but trying not to be anchored to their fears and losses, or the cruelty that they witnessed. Now let's look deeper at the visuals. We open on this cool shot of an orb mixed with the colours of Team RWBY being devoured by the Grim, obviously symbolic of the darkness that struck a heavy blow on the four girls, causing them to break off. But their light breaks out with the destruction of Beacon Tower, signalling not just the wreckage of their former familiar ground and the battle that they all took great losses from, but also the forced separation and the next step in their journeys. We also see the Grim Dragon, frozen in time and cased in stone. As long as it's there, it's still going to be attracting Grim to the school, but it's a sharp image to represent the destroyed area that we've known for so long, and one we'll likely see very little of for the time being. Either way, the four are breaking out into the wide open world to previously unseen areas. We know already that Yang is in Patch recovering, Weiss is in Atlas as per her father's orders, and RWBY is with the former Team Juniper heading through Mistral to get to Haven. But the orb's travels help finally confirm Blake's destination, that seemingly being Menagerie, the large faunus-focused region in the south. More on that in a bit. We next see RWBY lost in thought before the wind shakes her out of her state of mind and towards the comforting sight of Jean, Nora and Ren. It's a simple shot that shows RWBY is still affected by the past, but is supported all the same. Though notably there is a gap in the trio behind her that is obviously hearkening to Pyrrha, even having some leaves fly on through. A body blow to the feels for sure, but with the others looking strong and supportive, it does show that they are recovering and yet they are there for each other, ready to fight on, which I'm sure Pyrrha would approve of. The group aren't alone though, as next up we see a bird fly and transition into Qrow overlooking his niece and her friends, like we saw at the very end of Volume 3. Still the distant guardian for the time being, keeping an eye on them as they follow the trail of their enemies. But his mood sours as he spies another bird pass by, most likely his sister Raven. Since Yang is camped out back at Patch and not doing much else, could this mean that RWBY is currently Raven's focus for now? Either way, we next move to Weiss. She's accompanied with her butler, who we hear in the first episode is called Klein, and another gentleman in well-made clothes, white hair and blue eyes. The way he presents himself to Weiss and holds his arms, I don't know, I'm not too sure if he is a relative of the Ice Queen, or is just simply another aide to the heiress, but judging by the pair's warmer expressions, they are at least more kind to her than her father, who looks as stern-faced as ever. He's actually joined by Ironwood, who thankfully has some clothes on after his old attire got ruined from the corrupt Max attack, looking rather smartly groomed I must say, though he has grown a beard over the last few months. Could be from the stress of all the finger pointing aimed at Atlas's way of the Cinder's web of lies. Given we've seen these two together in the Atlas world of Remnant, and now in this shot, I can expect we'll see more of their connections due to the Schnee Dust Company and the military being so intertwined. Weiss is still struggling though with her inner conflict over her goals and being forced to reunite with her father. There's even a glyph that pops up behind her, possibly referring to how emotions can warp control of semblances when focus is lost. Weiss is trying to cope with a major bump in the road for her aspirations, and her current situation away from her team and her friends does kind of make her life spiral out of control right now, and she's gonna have to face her father directly after her time in Beacon. Does mean that this is gonna be a big volume for the Ice Queen, with that conflict soon to come, and she's not alone in having a lot on her shoulders, cause next up is the runaway Blake. Said Faunus is actually shown on a boat, likely on the way to Menagerie. Whether or not we'll actually see her on the boat still in the actual episodes, we'll have to wait and see. But if she's on the boat, we could actually see her face some aquatic grim. Either way, she's actually not by herself, because interestingly, Sun is with her. Now that's something, since when Yang mentioned Blake ran away, it was Sun who told her that he saw her leave. Yet here he is, having joined her for whatever she's up to now. Did Sun convince Blake to let him come with? Or did he manage to catch up with the cat girl and tag along? He's a Faunus too, so he should be welcome find a Menagerie, but it's intriguing that Sun knows where Blake is and yet didn't tell Yang or the others from her team. We'll have to wait and see what his reasonings are, but there's also no sign too of Sun's teammates, Neptune, Sage and Scarlet. Hopefully they're still okay after Beacon's fall, but it seems that Sun is also branching out. At the very least, it is nice to see that Blake will have one familiar face alongside her, and Sun's role could eventually lead into convincing Blake to reunite with the others. Suddenly, pirates! Well, not really. Yeah, sorry folks, that's not pirates that suddenly appear behind the two, as deconfirmed by Carrie. In fact, it actually looks to be Blake's family, as they cut in on the Faunus huddle. What seems to be Blake's dad is one burly giant. Now I've seen some people not sure who the other person is or even what their gender is, but I imagine it's a female, and it's actually Blake's mother. So it looks like we'll finally see Blake's family, and possibly Blake's home if she actually came from Menagerie. And note that the female is actually a Faunus with cat ears similar to Blake, but the large man has no noticeable Faunus elements. Blake looks to have come from a Faunus mother and a human father, resulting in her being half Faunus, half human. The first time we've seen such a thing in the series, or at least been noted about it. That's actually pretty cool. We've had no mention of them in the past, and since Blake was part of the White Fang, I wonder if that's the same for these two as well. Also, she ran away from the White Fang. Did she run away from her family too? Did she leave on good terms before joining the White Fang if they're not a part of it? And did she try and see them before going to Beacon after deserting the group? That's an aspect that I'm very much excited to see, alongside Blake's other hurdles. One of those of course being the people that she's left behind, especially Yang, as we see Blake looks into the distance, notably saddened. She does still care for her team, and leaving them is definitely going to be a big decision that Blake's going to have to live with the consequences of, until they next reunite, which I doubt will be a smooth reunion. And then we next see Yang, who is back on her feet and is seemingly getting trained by her father Tai Yang after losing her arm, so we can expect to see that as a factor in the future. But Yang is still scarred and living in the past as she tries to rebuild, even being distracted and seeing visions of her old two-armed self. Tai's gonna have to step up big time to help Yang through her immense stress. The loss of her arm, the wounds of Blake leaving her, not being able to fight alongside the others, and the fears stemming from the clash with Adam, all having major effects on her psyche right now. In fact, Adam weighs heavily on her mind right now as we see in this next shot. The next time she meets the Masked Man, she may be too afraid to act, to fight and to risk making another wrong move and changing her life even more, maybe even fatally. She's gonna need a lot of help to recapture that flame that she once had inside of her. And she could be facing more troubles than just the ones in her head, as we next see two hooded figures. One has Faunus ears, and the other has a bushy tail. Seems these two are both possible foxfulnesses, and they may have been sent by Adam to finish the job with Yang. These two seem to be Yang's biggest physical threat this volume, as she tries to topple her emotional one and find her way again. One way to do that may be stopping these two trying to kill her, readying herself for the eventual rematch with Adam. Now we head over to the villainous faces of Salem and her inner circle. We see Hazel, who's prepping his fists for fighting, which could hint that he's all fists and no gimmicks when it comes to combat. Then there's Cinder, who's scarred up and looking almost ashamed of her current state. Next, it's Tyrion, looking as whacked out as he is in the episode, with that sly, evil grin of his. With the final new face being Dr. Watts, standing prim and proper before we finally see the Grand Leader, Salem. No Emerald and Mercury though, which could hint to their overall screen time being limited in this volume. We're cutting now to a lot of fighting shots, but the first one does show what looks to be Tyrion's weapon as he clashes with RWBY. Double-bladed sort of arm pincher things that do seem to have some transforming feature to them, so we could have a possible second form lying in wait. We also see the sadistic villain's fighting style has a lot of flexible, nimble motions, not just with his arm blades, but his feet as well, which should make him a very difficult foe to pin down. We also see a shot of Adam confronting Blake in a sandy setting. No clue if this is in Menagerie or not. We don't even know if this is an actual fight that we'll see, or if it's just a mental imagery showcasing Blake's fear of Adam. Regardless of what this is, Blake will need to steel herself in preparation for the next time that the two clash, because as we've seen before, Adam won't hold back against his love. Back with Weiss, and despite being forced back into the halls of Atlas, it looks like she's still gonna be training and pushing her semblance even further, calling upon a giant glyph that could be her trying to fully summon the knight that she fought before. She'll have to face her conflict with her father head on though to aid in this venture, since we know emotional struggles do weigh in on semblance usage. If Weiss wants the physical strength of the knight, she will have to be mentally strong in this volume. And that's all I really got left. The opening ends with some Team Ranger combat and a shot of the new group with Qrow flying by, and the final shot of the RWBY girls. They are separated, yes, but each with their own goals and challenges that they will have to face if they want to live on. Again, I really do love this opening. It's a fitting piece for what we're about to see over the next few episodes. The heroes are shaken, but they have clear goals, hardened emotions, or at least will soon hopefully find the will to grow further. The villains are prepping their next move, and we get some tasty hints of what may lie ahead. Of course, these are just my thoughts, and you're more than welcome to share yours in the comments down below. What do you think we'll see from the hints given here, and what's your favourite opening so far overall? Like and favourite the video as well if you want, subscribe and click on the bell to know when new uploads are out, and follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan for more updates on RWBY, future videos, and more. Until next time, have a good day or good night, and peace out.